Hello friends, Cheryl here with EPHEMERA, and I am back with Dephemerember for Christmas Day. Although it's past Christmas Day, I'm catching up. This one is day 25, Altered Pocket and Texture Fragments. And I have a fun project. This is one of my favorites. I've made these pockets before, but not for a long time. So we'll get started. I want to say welcome to everybody, and I hope you enjoy this video. It's, like I said, it's one of my favorites. It's so easy to make, and I hope that you'll enjoy it enough to want to make one for yourself. Let's see here. The first thing we're going to do, I've got 3 papers for these pockets. And the first thing that we're going to do is cut our pages down to the measurements are 7.5 by 4 1/4. And it's going to be 7.5 tall, obviously. So if your paper has, a direction orientation, make sure that you cut your tall piece. So that's 7.5. By 4 1/2. And we're going to do that. You're going to have 3 papers for each pocket. And so you want to cut 3 pages or 3 pieces of paper that are 7.5 by 4 1/2. I hope y'all had a nice Christmas. Ours was very relaxing. It was just my husband and I, and we started a tradition. So we went to my stepson's house with his wife and kids on Christmas Eve. So Christmas Day we were, pretty much by ourselves. And then my son lives way over on the West Coast, and he does come out occasionally, but we haven't had him out here for a while. We need to get him back out here for Christmas Day. They came out last year after Christmas, but it wasn't on Christmas Day. I'm just trying to get my straight edges lined up here so that I get. And let me put this mouse over to the side so I don't. Okay, so there's those 3, and they will be pockets. Actually, I think that one was in the back. It doesn't matter, but there's those 3. And I have 3 others that I had already done, but we'll. And then I've got these, which I like. So this is going to be the 7.5. Now you want to use, it doesn't have to be super thick cardstock, but you want to use something that's kind of heavy because we are making pockets and they will get a lot of use. 7.5. And these will be large pockets to fit on a page. Okay, there's 7.5 by 4 1/2. And then what we're going to do is, obviously they can't all be the same size, but we'll start with them all the same size, and then you'll see in just a minute, then we'll tear them down. Let's see. And we have this one, 7.5. By 4 1/2. And I usually look like this is on here intentionally. It's some grunge, but I didn't really want it for this pocket. So these are going to go like this. That's going to be that set, and I have one more, and then we'll start making. Okay, so this one has a rooster in the background, and then we've got some of this paper, and then we've got the brown on the top. So let's go 7.5. Oh, let's get it under the. Let's do 7.5. I wanted to cut off this bent edge here by 4.5. Okay, there's one. And you'll see that I do this thing about turning the paper over quite a bit during this project. 4.5 by 7. All right, and one more. And I'm making more fun scraps to put in. A lot of these came out of my scrap pile, so, and let's go 4.5 here. All right, we're done with the trimmer. We'll put that away. Now, what we're going to do is, and this is going to go like that. I have one that I already tore up. So if this is a page, signature, this is going to be the base of the pocket. And then we're going to have this torn on top of it. So there's a tuck spot right there. And then we're going to have this one on top of that. So it's going to be a 3 pocket. 2 on the front, and then if you want to make a side or a back tuck. So the next thing we have to do is tear our pages the way we like them. Now, I don't like all the white edges showing, so remember I said I turn mine over a lot. So I want to tear, and I always get directionally challenged. So what I'm going to do is turn this way so that when I tear it, because if I pull this up, it's going to leave all that white, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to tear this as best I can down there like that. Okay, so there's that. And then well, I want this one to come out farther. So I'm going to, and if this isn't torn just the way you like it, you can actually, we're going to have to do it this way because I tore the other piece too wide. So there we go. And I could tear this in a little bit more if I wanted to. So again, you can adjust once you get it done, but we're going to make these pockets, and then I'll show you what we're going to do for the texture. All right, so let me do these other two, and we'll get started on the next steps. All right, so we've got our pages all torn here. Now, I do want to show you something. If you tear your pages, and some of these thicker papers, you see how it, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but you see how it's kind of separated. It's really thin right here. So you can do a couple of things. You can tear that down a little more to tear off the real thin spot. Or what I have done sometimes, I've got a lot of I hate all those jaggedy edges. Let's tear these. So this brings it down to where it doesn't have those super thin edges, because you're going to use this as a pocket and you want to be able to put stuff inside. That one's got a little bit, but not much. Okay, so there we go. So that takes care of that. The other thing you can do, so this one's got a lot, is you can take, and you can't get it right up to the edge because that's obviously a torn edge, but you can take some tape, Scotch tape, I use Scotch tape, and put it as close as you can get it in small pieces right up to the edge so that it doesn't show, but it gives it a little more of a sturdy pocket edge. You can't, I mean, if you want to make these perfectly straight, and then fold that edge under, you can certainly do that. I like the torn look, I think, and you'll see when we put the texture on why I think the torn look is important. Okay, so there's that one, and now that's a lot sturdier. This one is torn down, but it's not, this paper's pretty thick, so even with that, only one layer, it's not that bad. All right, so that's how we can shore up. Those are fine. And you can also try, you know, when you're tearing, be very careful when you're tearing so you don't, you know, you don't have an issue there. All right, now the next thing I'm not going to worry about inking this big one, and I am going to round the corners and all that good stuff. But the next thing we want to do is ink these inside ones so that when we start gluing them down, they're all nice and inked. And the edges are all going to come out the same, so we don't need to worry about that long edge. We just want to ink these up. And then we're going to glue down, or you can use double-sided tape, which is probably what I'll do because these are such straight edges. It would be easy to, you know, just do that. So what I'll do is ink it up. I'll put some, maybe I'll use art glitter glue. It's faster than pulling out all that double-sided tape. So I'm going to go across the top here. Down the edge. And across the bottom. Okay, and then you want to line these up. Okay, and so that's going to be that one. Now, we also need to ink up this one, but we're going to hold this one out for now because this is where we're going to put our texture. And it's going to have to get wet for that. So I don't want to glue that down just yet, and I don't want to ink up the edge just yet. I want to get our texture on, and then we'll ink it up. So the thing we're going to do for now is ink up the second layer, and then glue that down, and then we'll come back and start working with texture. All right? All right, we've got all our tag pieces, and they're all a little bit different. See how this one's got a long base at the bottom? So what I did is I glued only around the straight edges, leaving this open. Okay, so this one has a tall straight edge. This one goes all the way down to the bottom, and you see that the tears are not equal, and they don't need to be. Oops. I didn't glue this one, so let's do this one together. Let's do this one together. I thought I had done them all. I guess not. So pull that little piece off. And then we're going to use a stencil and some modeling paste to give us some texture. Okay. All right, got that. And then let's just go around the straight edges. I usually try to put I try not to do too much of a pattern piece on this edge, but I think the way I tore them, I didn't have much choice. So we'll still do pattern on that. All right, so I'm going to take these out and just pull up the top pieces. So this is where we're going to put well, actually, we'll just do it like this. And I've got a few stencils picked out here. I've got a crackle stencil, which I think I'll use on this one. I've got a herringbone that we'll use on this one. I think we'll use the raindrops on that one, and we'll use this one here. Okay, so you could use all the same stencil. And then I've got some modeling paste. This is Liquitex. I think this is pretty, this is pretty thick, which is fine. Okay, I'm going to start up here at the top, and I'm going to okay. All right, so I'm just gonna put the modeling paste on. Okay, and I need a little bit more down here. And that's going to give us some texture on these pockets. All right. So there we go. We need to set that one down or set it aside to dry. And you want to get these in water pretty quickly. Now I've got some really dry texture paste at the top. I'll throw that away. I was just looking to see if I have a little container, which I think I probably do. Let's use this one because you don't want that texture paste to dry on there. So I'm gonna, until I can get up to wash these, I'll just put spray some water on there. All right, so that's that one. So I'm doing a little repair job on the texture paste. Okay. The next one was this one on here, and this one's going to be long enough to do the whole thing. You can see I don't really clean my stencils when I'm only using inks with them. I'm really bad about that. I should probably be better, but I hate having to run to the bathroom all the time to clean out, because that's the closest sink that I have is in the downstairs bathroom. And I hate having to run in there all the time to clean stencils. So if it's just ink, I don't mess with it. I can't wait. I haven't watched any of the other videos yet of what other people have done for this prompt. And I can't wait to see what other folks are doing. All right. Ooh, that's pretty. And then we're going to do something else kind of special with these once they dry. So put that up there. And let me put some water on there. And we'll move on to the next one. All right, this one is the herringbone. And again, I need to start at the top, and then I'll have to finish up down at the bottom. Or go down a little farther. Remember, when you're using like a modeling paste or a texture paste, to really go over it well and scrape up, the extra, make it really smooth. Otherwise, you'll get ridges, which you can take a little bit of sandpaper and sand those down after it's dry, which I have to do periodically. Let's see right there, I didn't get everything just perfect on there, but that's all right. Oh, this is picking up a little bit of the color from the stencil, but that's all right. It's not going to hurt a thing because we're going to be adding a lot more color to this. All right, so there we go. There's that one. Put that in our tray. Get it really wet. And then we'll do the last one is the crackle. Now this is the one that I have done most often, is the crackle. But I decided to use some different ones this time because, again, it's Dephemerember and we're supposed to be trying new things, right? So I decided to get that out of my way. Yeah, I definitely got some of that other color on here, but we're going to be adding color, so it really doesn't matter. I guess that's one of the drawbacks of not cleaning your stencils, is that if you have water-soluble colors, they're going to show through or bleed through, potentially. The other colors didn't, but I guess it just depends on what color you had been using. Okay, there's that, and then I want a little bit more. Right in there. All right, So there's the one with the crackle. All right, folks, this is going to have to sit and dry for a minute, so I'm going to pause this. I'm trying to get out the extra that has a lot of color on it I don't necessarily want that in there the next time I go to use it. Okay, I'm going to go clean up these stencils and let these dry, and then I'll put the heat tool on them a little bit to make sure that they, get all the way dry. And then we're actually going to be using that heat tool quite a bit. And then I'll come back and we'll move on with the next step, which is adding some color. All right, folks, I'll see you in a minute. All right, we're back. Stencils are all dry, or the pockets are all dry, and stencils are washed and put away. Now, what I do next, I use acrylic paints. You could use sprays, and maybe we'll try a couple of sprays. You could use liquid inks. You can use any number of things for this next step. What I typically have used is blending gel with, here's some clear gesso. No, I don't want to do that. I use blending gel with the acrylic paints. I'm out of blending gel, so I have this airbrush medium, which is really liquid. And it's going to give me what I need. So what I'm going to do is pick out one or two colors from my paints here. And I have a whole little box of paints. That Italian sage might be nice. Here's a forest moss that is distress paint. I don't know where I got that. But I've also got this nickel azo gold, quinacridone nickel azo gold. That's liquid from Golden. And then I want like a brown. No, I'm looking for just the right color here. Burnt sienna. Do I want that? Maybe. Maybe I want like, I've got some licorice, which is black. Let's see here. Well, let's start with these colors here and see what we get. Now, I'm only going to do a couple of these on screen, and I'm not sure this is the right one to do it because this paper is a little bit slick, but we'll see. Now, the first thing I do before I start putting color on is I just go across these and, like, this is a sanding stick from the nail salon. And then across the bottom. So if you have any peaks that popped up while you were putting that down, this will just make everything smooth and all one shape. Okay. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the Azo Gold. Now, I think that this is a liquid. It is, but I don't want it quite that dark. So this is where I would put the blending gel, which I don't have. So we're going to put just a couple of drops of that airbrush medium to thin it out, make it a little more watery. Put a couple more drops. I want it real thin. Ooh, that color's going to be pretty on here. And then what you're going to do is just paint over where paint over all the texture and actually the whole piece. Paint the whole thing. Okay, and then we're going to take, this is a dry baby wipe. You could use a wet one. I like using paper towels or something dry. And we're going to wipe off a lot of that, especially from the paper. And we want to leave it, no, let's get I do need a wet one. We're going to leave it just primarily where that's better. So we don't want to stain the paper too much. A little bit's okay. But what we want is that we want that color to get in and around. Do you see how it's staining the shapes? And sometimes I just go, right over the shapes. I don't put it too much on the paper. You can do it either way, as long as you pull back. And then what I'll do is dry this and then go in with the next color and the next color. And I do this probably 4 or 5 times. So we'll get this one done. We'll do one more. And actually, I'd like to try some sprays. I haven't done that yet. And I don't have the distress sprays. I want to do the crackle because that's the one that I'm most familiar with. Okay, so there's that. And what it's going to do is pool around the edges and in the tops of that's why you're going to do lots of layers of this. I'll probably do 4 or 5. See how that is staining the... So I'm going to set that one aside to dry. Actually, we could try this one. This one has a lot of texture on it. Let's see, what are my other colors with this one? Now see how this is going to look on here? Isn't that pretty? When we get that on there. This one goes with this. Okay. So maybe let's see, I need like a pesto kind of a green. Chopped pesto. Let's try that one. Now these are the Delusion sprays. I do not have the other sprays from Tim Holtz. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start from the bottom because it's bigger. And I'm going to wet it. Come on. Oh, don't tell me this isn't going to work. I just had this out the other day and used it. All right, that's all right. No harm, no foul. We'll just put it on this way. I'm going to spray it with a little more water. Now this one I'm not using, obviously, the medium. So this one I am just putting the ink on it, but this is another way. Certainly you could do it. I also have some hang on one second. I've got some pipettes. There we go. So there, we'll put a lot of color on there, and then we'll dilute it, and then we're going to go back through and mop up some of that color. All right, lots of extra color there that I can do stuff with. All right, let's there. Now, what I'm not seeing here, what I'm not liking about this method is that it's not getting the little bit of pooling around the shapes, because that's what I really like. I'm going to just put it in a few places here. And yes, these are going to get very wet. I'm going to go back to my paints, I think. I'm not liking this ink very well. I like my paints better. All right, so let's, I've got all that green there. I'm going to have to mop that up with something. Okay, let's go back to my paints. What do I want on here? I probably want I think I had some mushroom paint color, which is going to be a dark gray. Now, where did I put my box of paints? There it is behind me. But we've also got, we've already got some green on this, and I probably should, before I put more wet on this, I probably should dry it up a little bit. So I'm going to set that one aside to enhance later because it's really wet and I want to get it somewhat drier. And then let's go to this one because I really want to. This is what I have used in the past. Now this is an acrylic paint dabber from Adirondack. I've never opened it before. It's really old. I've had it forever. Is there a... No? It's just really thick in there. Put this on here. So what I want to do is put some darker bits in there. Okay, let's see if we can get this to come out. Now there it goes. But I like this mushroom color. Then I'm going to put a little bit of the airbrush medium on it to thin it out. Rinse out my brush. I almost want this to be watery. Okay. And it's not quite even watery enough. I'm going to put a bunch in there. There we go. And so I'm just really painting it over the stencil, the raised stencil areas, and then the paint's over here. And we're going to do this several times. Like I said, you let it dry, then you do some more, and you'll see how the paint builds up. But you can already see in layer 1 that we're getting some, color in that raised texture. So I'm going to go dry these. We'll come back and put layer 2 on. All right, I'm back. Looks like a science lab going on my desk here, doesn't it? So I got out the blues, and I did one on the blue. I got that really dark on the background, which wouldn't have been my preference, but I'm wishing I really had the blending gel. So I found some acrylic glazing liquid, which is, I think, the same thing as a blending gel for creating glazes and increasing flow, level, and blendability. So I think this is more, what I was looking for. But what I'm going to do is this is licorice, and I'm just going to paint over the top of where I have my texture. And I'm not going to go all the way down because, and I probably should have started this from the bottom up, what I'm going to do is spray a bunch of water on it. That's more what I was looking for. That's more of what I was looking for. The color is puddling in the crevices around the texture, and that's what I was looking for. So let's go down here from the bottom, and I'm just going to go across the top. Lots of water in this one, so if you don't like to get messy, this may not be the technique for you, but I don't mind. It's actually kind of fun getting messy. But this is more what I was looking for. And it's all about experimenting, right? It's Dephemerember. My dog, she has a doggy door in the backyard, so she can go out anytime she wants. But she doesn't like to be out back because it's fenced in and she can't see what's going on in the world around her. She wants to be out front where she can see what's going on down on the street. She can really, see what's going on. All right, look at that. Is that not amazing? That's what I was looking for. Now, I can go around and pick up some of that on the paper if I don't want so much black on the paper, but I still have the black in the crevices. So that's what I was looking for. Let's try it on this piece, and let's do this piece. I didn't go over and sand this. It's a little bit rough, but that's all right. Let's do this with the color here is licorice. I could have done a green, but I didn't want to do that. So I'm just putting this on top of the texture. because when I spray it, that paint with the blending gel, and that's what I needed. This medium here is more like a blending gel. That airbrush medium did not work. So when I had the camera off, I went and looked for what else I might have. All right, so there's that. So anyway, my dog likes to go out front where she can see, you know, she's not out back. She can't really see what's going on because she's got that fence and she doesn't like it. So she goes out there, but she really wants one of us to go out with her. So I need to I should be doing this over the tray where it's all being sopped up, but I'm not doing that. So let's just add some more here. And the more layers you put on, the more that will build up. Now, like I said, I have only done it with the crackle. And I have to say, so far, I'm still liking the crackle the best. But we'll see. We'll see. It's all, like I said, it's all about experimenting. Okay, so there's that. And then I am going to blot up some of this off of the top of the texture. That one didn't give us quite the same results as the crackle did. So I'm not liking that one as much. Let's see, what do we want to do on this one? Let's use the burnt sienna. And let's put some of this acrylic medium in. And it's by, I don't know, maybe 2 to 1, 2 parts medium to 1 part paint. And then I did put a little bit of the airflow in the last one I did, the black, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'm just going to go with the so I'll finish my story. So the dog goes out front and she loves it out there, but she likes for one of us to go out with her, and she loves to play frisbee out front. So she'll drive us nuts till we go out with the frisbee. But if we do put her out there by herself, when she's ready, she doesn't stay very long. And when she's ready to come in, she'll come and scratch at the door. She'll knock on the door. And she'll come in, but she'll only stay for a little while. Then she wants out again, and she'll drive you nuts until you let her out of the house. So it's like a constant thing with her. It's let her in, let her out, let her in, let her out. Yeah, I'm not liking this one as much either. That crackle, I'm telling you, that's the stencil to do. I mean, this isn't bad, but it's not, and I'll use it. It's not what I was looking for. I mean, it's got a little more, around the raindrops, but, and maybe too, it's the paper that I have this one on. Look at that. Is that not yummy? That's my favorite so far. Now, where's my other one? Okay, we've got this blue. And I wonder if I put some of this black on here, will this do what I want it to do? Oh, it's looking promising. It's looking promising. So what I would say is if you're going to try this, get some, just some scrap paper and try it before you try it on a real project. And, make sure that, one, I think it has some to do with the paper. It has some to do with the mediums that you're using. I would definitely use a blending medium of some sort, a blending. And you can find those in either like in the Liquitex, or you can go over in the craft paints and get little bottles of blending medium. And it's giving me more of what I'm looking for. All right, I'm going to go dry, and I will be back, and we'll go on to the next layer. All right, I have very mixed results, and I went ahead and worked on them a little bit before I looked at my hands before I came back on. This one is my favorite. So I've learned some things from this experiment. I think this works better with shapes that are more spread out, which should have been the case with this one, but this paper was a shiny paper, and I just think the ink didn't catch well enough. I'm probably going to pick a different paper and redo this one, because I don't like that at all. And I'll pick a different paper. So that one's out. This one I like a lot. It just needs more work. Okay, I've ended up putting some white gesso on it. Again, it's a very busy pattern, although I think if I put, a focal point on here, it might take away from some of that. But what I want to do is I want to take some like sage green paint or a darker green, and I want to take a dry brush and try to brush over the texture a little. I just don't have time to do that here. So what I've learned here is that if there's too much, if the stencil is too busy, it's just not going to work very well. Okay, but I don't dislike that. I think it needs more work. This one, I don't dislike either. I put some white gesso on there to lighten it up. I don't dislike this one either. I just think the blue is too dark for this. So I think what I'm going to try to do is get some like more of a teal color and soften this a little bit. And I think it'll be just fine because there's teal in here and there's teal in here. I just think it needs to be softened. So that one needs a little more work, although I don't hate it. This one I love. So since we're running low on time, what I'm going to do is finish up this one so you see at least one of them finished. And then when I'll work on those other two that I do like. I just need more work on them. And then when I post my video, the thumbnail will be we'll have the updated ones. All right, so let's do this. We need to ink the edge on this one. And I was playing with the acrylic glazing. You just have to play with it. And I guess I had always just used this crackle. I had never used another stencil. I always did it with the crackle. And shame on me for trying something new on camera because it didn't work real well. Well, it did for this one, the one I'm used to. But should know better than trying something new on camera. All right, so I've got that one done. And then we'll go around the whole thing once it's... All right, so there's that. And then I'm going to take the art glitter glue, if it hasn't stopped up yet. No, not yet. And we'll glue around all the straight edges. And no one's going to see the inside of this pocket, so it's fine. But you do want to make sure you dry your paper really well before you. Oops. All right. And then I've got a little bit extra here. Now, if I could find a rooster to put on here, that would be awesome. And maybe what I can do is cut out one of those from the inside, but there. Now, let's get our corner rounder. I'm hoping this will fit in here. Not, we'll just do the two side one. Yeah, this fits. Oh, come on. This one doesn't want to fit in here. So we'll just do these two sides here. Okay, and then we'll go around, ink up the whole thing. So this is my altered pocket. It's altered with, you know, the 3 layers of paper, and then it's also got the texture fragments. These are little fragments of texture. And then I'll have a couple more when I'm all done with this. But I am going to work on those more. I just ran out of time for the video, but this is compartmental making, right? I got as far as I could on the other ones, but I do have components ready. There we go. And now if I want a focal on this one, I certainly could put, let's see what I've got. I don't know if I have anything offhand that would go really well. So I've got a rooster in one of these. I've got some bird tags, and I don't know if I have a rooster in here. Nope. All right, let me look one other place. And if I don't see anything, then... Oh, you know what I do have? That might be kind of cute on there. I've got this little farm boy with his basket, and he's got his little pig down here. Or here's this little girl. She's got a rooster, but she doesn't fit. So how about something like that? How about if we just put the little farm boy, and then he kind of goes with the roosters. I'm not going to glue it down just yet because I'm not positive that's what I want to do, but I just wanted to show you, you know, what it would look like with a focal image on it. I don't think I have anything else that would go. Nope. Nope. That little guy will do it. So I think that's probably what I'll end up putting on here is this little guy. And then look how cute that is. And then I've got a pocket here. Let's see if I can find, there we go. Got a pocket here, got a pocket here, and then I could make this a pocket. Oops. I could make this a pocket back here, or I could make it a side tuck. And on a page, it's going to look like this. So it's like a whole page. It's a pocket for the full page. But that's what it's going to look like. Isn't that sweet? So I'll work on the other ones. I'm sure I can get them to a point where I like them. I just have to work at it a little bit. And that's the thing. Don't ever give up. This one came out perfect. I mean, look at how the black is just highlighting. So if you're going to do this, a couple of key points. Don't use shiny paper. Don't use slick paper. Use a blending medium, not airbrush medium. Use a blending medium. I put it on, wiped it off, then I put it on, sprayed water on. I just used a lot of different techniques for, making sure that it was taking that color. Use dark colors to set off the shapes. And I find that a crackle stencil works best. That's just been my experience as noted here today. If you get stencils that are too busy, they just get too busy. But I think I can put some green over the top of this and leave it kind of a gray background to kind of match that. I think I can fix this one. This one will take a little more work because it's just too dark for this. Or I'll redo another one and then save this for a different pocket. All right, folks, that's it. This is Christmas 25, day 25. And this is Alter Pocket and Texture Fragments. I appreciate you hanging with me. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more of what I do. And I'll see you soon with the next video. Bye, everybody.